Cartier's history in watchmaking is extraordinary. Few brands can claim such a rich catalogue of instantly recognizable case shapes. We're talking the Tank, the Santos, the Tonneau, the Tortue, designs that have completely defined eras of wristwatch design, and they continue to influence the industry today. In fact, most brands would be incredibly grateful just to have one of these models in their lineup. But what's discussed far less, though, is what Cartier has been doing inside its watches. For all the attention paid to form and design, Cartier's commitment to movement making often sits quietly at the background. So when putting together our latest collection, I spent some time looking through the watches and thought, rather than retelling the well-documented story of Cartier's case shapes, let's open these watches up, literally, and look at what's going on inside the cases. There's 4 pieces from the collection that I want to focus on in particular. Together, these 4 represent a side of Cartier that isn't spoken about enough. And to understand why that matters, we need to start back in the 1990s. This was the moment Cartier launched the Collection Privé Cartier Paris, better known as CPCP. See, at the time, Cartier wanted to change perceptions. These weren't mass market watches. They weren't jewelry first pieces. CPCP was Cartier saying, very deliberately, we're serious about watchmaking. The approach was completely uncompromising. It was precious metals only, small batch production, hand-finished mechanical movements, traditional guilloche dials, and crucially, collaborations with some of the finest movement specialists in Switzerland. And one of the most fascinating aspects of CPCP was who was involved behind the scenes. Cartier didn't just use in-house calibers. They worked with elite movement makers from all around Switzerland, including the famous Tortue monopusher, connected to names like FP Journe, long before Journe became the independent powerhouse he is today. And that brings us neatly to the first watch. This is the Cartier Tortue XL. This Tortue is a textbook example of what CPCP was trying to achieve. The Tortue case itself dates back to 1912, but this XL version, it's a modern interpretation. The proportions, I guess you could say they're generous, but they are still elegant. That curved, organic shape, it's unmistakably Cartier. But what really sets this watch apart is what's on the inside. If you flip the watch over, you can see it's got a manual wind movement. It's beautifully finished, decorated bridges, the type of thing that you don't normally see on regular Cartiers. The movement, the 9601 MC, was produced by none other than Jaeger-LeCoultre. Next up, another CPCP watch. This is the Tonneau in XL sizing. This is a case shape that really curves along the wrist, and it's one of the biggest attributes of the Tonneau shape. Inside, once again, we're looking at a manually wound, high-grade movement finished to the CPCP standards. Bridges are decorated, proportions are well thought out, and everything feels considered rather than just being a showy watch. Like the Tortue, the guilloche dial does a huge amount of work here. Whilst we're used to seeing the guilloche finish on Cartier watches, and it's a bit of a brand signature, on these Privé references, it's just a little bit more special, it's more detailed, and I think it really sets these watches apart. So Cartier also has a long and often underappreciated history of skeletonized watches, and few examples illustrate that better than the watch I'm going to show next. The Cartier Santos 100 shutter dial is the rarest watch in this collection. And in terms of Cartier production, it's extremely rare. It's one of just 100 made. At first glance, it's already unusual. The case is rendered in palladium, seriously heavy on the wrist, giving it a kind of cool, almost industrial tone. It suits the technical nature of this watch perfectly, but actually the real magic is the dial. This watch incorporates a mechanical shutter system. It's essentially like panels that open and close to reveal different aspects of the watch beneath. If something like the JLC Reverso gives you 2 personalities, this Santos essentially gives you 3. And the final watch I wanted to highlight is the Cartier Santos Dumont skeleton. This is a very different expression of skeletonization. It's cleaner, it's more modern, and it's more architectural. I think the Santos is such a good watch to show off skeletonization because the square case shape is almost like a picture frame. And what's striking here is how far it departs from Cartier's traditional Roman numeral aesthetic. See, this time the numerals are no longer printed. They're actually part of the structure of the movement itself. And I think that's such a nice touch from Cartier to incorporate that aesthetic into the movement. And despite this modernity that comes with a skeletonized movement, it still feels unmistakably Cartier. The proportions are right and the geometry remains elegant. Taken together, this collection tells a much bigger story. It shows Cartier as a brand of contrast and a company that has a really intriguing history outside of just pure aesthetics. The Cartier Signature Shapes Collection offers a genuine cross-section of what makes Cartier such a compelling brand today. And these watches, they're just a few of the highlights. The full collection is live now on Watch Collecting. We've got watches going live every day over the next 2 weeks. So head to the site now to explore the full collection. And as always, if you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe as it really helps us to grow the channel. Thanks for tuning in.